Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and this is, huh, um, hmm, that definitely takes up a significant amount of space. Pretty, sizable. Not sure if I could just take stuff out. Huh, just a second. Just a second. Alright, there we go. This should be an adequate amount of space to do what I would like for this video. Alright, now as I was, hello, I am Centimus Prime, and this is a tote of Lego Ninjago stuff that I got for a pretty good deal from a Lego shop I went to called, here's BrickinBad, which is an absolutely great name for that. So hilarious. Absolutely perfect. And and they just had this line at the floor near the desk. It's a whole tote of random builds from Ninjago sets. And just had all of these in the tote, and and here's the deal: it's a whole tote of Lego Ninjago builds for $59 for the whole tote, and this was what's in the whole tote. And there was also other smaller things that was also pretty interesting. There's also a handful of serpentine stuff that we got from there. We got a couple of the legacy style of the Venomari serpentine, of the newer updated legacy style ones. One of these printed, and also one of these printed pieces for the Venomari staff and fang blades. Also a bunch of these little snake pieces. I got a couple in gold, a couple in the light green, a couple in the dark blue, a couple in white, and just a single one in red. Yeah, but these are pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Now, of course, I am gonna go ahead and mention I am in no way sponsored by this brick shop. All my thoughts and opinions in this video are completely my own. I just went to this Lego shop to check it out and see what things I could get. And yeah, it was a legitimately nice place. I am definitely going back there, and that is definitely going to be a place where I'm going to get my Legos. But with that out of the way, we can now move along to the big thing in this video, this whole tote of stuff. Now, before I start showing you the builds and stuff in here, I would like to mention a few things. One, these are all builds from sets, but none of them are complete. For one thing, all of the minifigures that would have came with these sets are just not here. This was quite obviously just, these sets were obviously bought to mess around with, but after that the minifigures were either kept or sold separately, and all the sets and stuff are just put here in a bin. Yeah. Second thing I would like to mention, I did went through all of this before the recording, so yeah, and as a result, I did end up also adding pieces while also while also cleaning them up because they were also covered in dust, and I didn't want these builds to be like covered in dust for the video, so I ended up like cleaning them off and like adding like pieces to make them more presentable. I'm definitely going to show you. I'm definitely going to tell you like which parts I ended up replacing as I go along. And is that it? Or is there like a third thing? No, I guess that's it. So yeah, so oh yeah, there's one more thing before I get into this. Um, this is not going like because there's like a whole bunch of sets and stuff in here, and there's like a lot to go through. Like, and also the fact that like none of them are complete. There's a few different reasons, but like the last thing I'd like to mention before getting into it is that this is not going to be a review for any. This video is not going to be a review for any of these sets. But if you want me to like review any of these sets, then you can feel free to recommend. Then you can feel free to ask down in the comments. Uh, and and yeah, with that, let's now get started because there's a lot in here to go through. And to start things off, let's go ahead and start off with a small one. I feel like this is a good one to start out with. So here, yeah, we have this one right here. So what we have here is this sort of buggy sort of vehicle thing from the from Ninjago Legacy. Yeah, it's a nice like modernized little miniature version of the like Jungle Raider set uh from the Anaconda, like from the Tournament of Elements sort of wave back in 2015. It's like a nice little updated version of that set, and I think it looks like pretty nice. Like yeah, like it's, and more than that, like it is like aside from the fact that, and yeah, like aside from the fact that it was in just in a tote, I feel like it looks pretty nice. Now I did have to like replace a couple of pieces in here, so I had to replace these two handlebar pieces and also one of these bar pieces. So I had to, and also like adding another katana thing back here. So I ended up adding 4 pieces onto here. So yeah, like it, and I believe that I believe that these pieces were added on here backwards because I believe on like the box art and package and instructions for this, I believe these parts went around the other way so that the flat sides are facing forwards, but this is how I found them in the set, and I also kind of like looked at them like this. So here's like a good one to start out with. Not too bad. This is definitely one of the more tame ones compared to what else is in here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So continuing our Ninjago legacy trend, here we have uh here we have like a nice little or here we have like this nice little like Ninjago legacy set. It's another like one from like the same uh era of Ninjago sets as this buggy thing. It's not the exact same set. It's just sort of a it's a sort it's this nice little like monastery sort of builds, and as you can tell with like the banner with like the stickers here, it is another set from like the Tournament of Elements. Like a legacy, it's a legacy like update to one of the Tournament of Elements sort of sets. And yeah, like this is one of the only builds I didn't add any pieces to, but it is missing a whole lot. Like there is a book here that's supposed to be resting in here that's missing. Of course all the minifigures are missing, but like that's to be expected. And I believe there's also like a crate of accessories in here that's also missing. So it is missing like pretty much all of like the more like loosely attached accessories and all the minifigures. But aside from that, it's like pretty good. It has like all the weapons, all these like green weapons and stuff, which I believe are supposed to be representing the Jade Blades like collectibles. It's supposed to be like a nice. It's supposed to be a. I believe it's supposed to be a sort of update to those kind of weapons, but I'll save my thoughts on those for another time. Yeah, so there's that build. Let's go ahead and move on to our next set. So here we have another Ninjago Legacy set. This one is Kai's Fire Dragon from the Legacy Wave. So we can go ahead and go look at that. I only ended up replacing 2 pieces for this build, and it's just like the 2 pieces here, just 1 gold Exaforce arm and 1 black talon piece, black claw piece. I will say this has nothing. This isn't like a. I wouldn't like consider this to be like part of this. Like this ain't like going to be like a full review, but I do feel like I do feel like I should mention this, because initially I thought that this build was just like had really loose joints, and well, it does. Like it has some like really bad. It has some like incredibly loose joints for it. In particularly its wings and the arms and like the shoulders. And now initially I thought that that's just the age and mileage for this set. It's just his joints just loosened over time. And while I definitely could have like could have just like went with that. I ended up looking at videos for this, and apparently this set is infamous for not being that structurally stable due to how heavy everything is and how loose the joints are. So unfortunately, like this poor dragon's joints are just not that great. But But regardless, I do have them now, and again, I am going to hold off opinions and thoughts for these sets. I'm just letting you know, like, the current condition for these sets that I've gotten and all of that. So, with that, let's go ahead and move on to the next set, shall we? So, continuing off of the fire dragon and moving on to the fire snake, here we have this really large and really like impressive looking fire snake build from the it's from that wave of Ninjago where it was basically half ice samurai versus it wasn't exactly like, yeah, from what I could tell, this is from that wave of Ninjago where it's half ice samurai and also half fire snakes, fire serpentine. So like this is from like that fiery half of that wave of Ninjago. And I didn't have to replace a whole lot for this, though it is still missing a whole lot of, again it's missing it's missing all of the minifigures. That's to be expected, but also it's missing the side, the weapon holder, like side builds. It's also missing it's also missing the two like banner things that are supposed to connect onto these studs on the side. So it is missing those, among other like smaller accessories and things that might also be missing. But with that aside, I did like this one is like pretty much like untouched. Like I only ended up adding 3 pieces, and those three pieces are one of the studs for the stud shooters at the end of the tail, and also one of these black pieces and one of these katana pieces, because it was missing one of these katana spike things. So I ended up adding replacing those parts there to make that look more symmetrical. But that's not looking too bad. I'm actually surprised with just how good of a condition this set is. It even has like all of these like plastic like sheet like pieces from the tongue thing to this whole this whole thing. Like it's in pretty good shape. I can definitely tell that I might need to do a little bit more dusting here. Like the dust is incredibly visible with the black Lego sets. But yeah, like I'm actually surprised with how good of a condition how good the condition is for this set. It's really neat. I do think that I'm very fortunate with how good the condition is, especially with these like thin pieces. So moving on, our next build is our first one here out of the. It's our first one here out of the builds from the crystallized wave of Ninjago. So what we have here is the gold, like it's like the storm bike thing for J, and it's definitely in pretty good shape. I actually didn't add any pieces here. Like all I did for this one really was just like to dust it off. But yeah, like it's in pretty solid condition. Like even its like kickstand piece is there, and it's still doing pretty well. Like even like and also the electric pieces are still there. Yeah, like this set is also in pretty good shape. So yeah, like that is very fortunate. And moving on again with this, so this is also from the crystallized wave of Ninjago. This is like a Zane's sort of ice jet thing, which to be honest just looks like a Zane version of Jay's iconic storm jets. But regardless, like it's still in pretty good shape. Like aside from the sticker that's supposed to be attached here on this cockpit piece, which to be honest I can't really do much about that. Like the jet itself is perfectly fine. Like all the pieces are there. Like the only thing that's missing on the jet is the sticker thing, which I can't really do much about that. Yeah, like, of course I'm gonna be missing side builds and minifigs, but the jet itself is in pretty solid condition. I am fortunate to, yeah, again, unfortunate to find this in the condition that it is. Very nice. Continuing our crystallized bunch. Our crystallized bunch here, we have Cole's car from the Cole's like sort of car thing from the crystallized wave. And this one's also a pretty good thing. This is another one where I also didn't have to replace any pieces. But more than yeah, it even still had the studs and the cannons. Like that is very fortunate. The only thing I actually ended up doing was actually just dusting it off, and it actually just ended up just turning these gold spike things around so that they're pointed back. And that's more of a personal choice, to be honest. Like, that's really not how the set has them, like, positioned, but whatever. Like, but something else I like to mention for this, the sort of gimmick thing that this has going on, it still works very smoothly. It still works very nice. Like there's nothing hindering it. It's exactly how it should work. So yeah, like this one is also fortunately in a really good condition. Very nice. Okay, so next up we have this ginormous vehicle. Like this, I can only assume is Kai's vehicle from the crystallized wave. So it is in good condition. I will say that it like everything still moves the way it should. I'm like in terms of like how good it looks to me. I'm still going to hold that off for for a possible review, but as a whole, like it's still in pretty solid condition. Like for instance, we can turn this up and it still has the drone. It still has the little pull-out drone. So that is fortunate. So that's really great that it still has that. Very nice. I also dusted everything off. I think dusted everything off to a decent degree. and it also had all of its uh spring yeah, it had all of its missile like lasers. Yeah, it had all of its like ammunition for these side cannon things. I ended up not adding them in. I ended up not loading them in, mainly for the fact that the that I keep accidentally like launching these out, and I don't want to risk myself in losing these. But I will. But yeah, like the fact that the fact that this set, despite having missing pieces in the build itself, still had all four of its missiles. That is impressive. That's really that is very fortunate. The only in terms of this vehicle build itself, the only thing it's really missing is if we flip this up, there's supposed to be parts added to the front of this section right here. It's supposed to be like some brackets here and some black plates, like a small little like assembly that's obviously supposed to go in right there, but it didn't like add any like real detail. And to be honest, like looking at it from this, you can't even tell that those parts are missing. So I just didn't bother to add them. That's all. So let's go ahead and move on to our next build, shall we? Okay, so here we have our next set, which is of course this, uh, which is of course the, which is of course the Crystal King. Yeah, that's him. So here we have the Crystal King from, of course, this guy is also from the crystallized wave of Ninjago. Yeah, as I'm realizing, there's a whole bunch of crystallized uh, sets in here. As I found out, like in terms of like the main builds alone, I have like more than half of I have like a huge chunk of the crystallized wave now. Like, that is kind of crazy. But in terms of the condition of this guy, of course he doesn't have the minifigures and stuff. Again, that's standard for all of them. Yeah. So when it comes to the I feel like the main like draw of attention is the wings, because despite it being despite it like being in like multiple pieces in the bottom of the tote, like there was like pieces that obviously came off of the wings for this and like was in the tote, and also the staff itself was just laying on like the bottom of the tote. I only had to replace one piece on this guy, on this dude, and that is obviously this piece, which you can probably tell that this one is using an older style of the piece, which yeah, you can probably tell because it has the little like slit in there. Just want give you like a good view of that. It has like a little slit, whereas the more modern style ones doesn't have that slit. The like newer style of that part, newer like updated piece. So yeah, so that's a little like odd, but aside from that, like this is this build was, while like pieces of while his weapon and pieces of his wings were just on the in the bottom of the tote, like he was still in really great condition, which is really fortunate. Like everything else was intact. All the feet, all the hooves were still attached. The tail was still intact. the head was still intact, which that was honestly surprising to me. And of course, all of the hands and rib cage and stuff was mostly intact. So that's really fortunate, really neat. And so I have all, and so I have the rest of the builds here, so I can do a quick little lightning round. Here is like Nia's giant Titan sort of Samurai X mech thing, which again was mostly intact. The only real thing is like I had to reattach some like pieces on like the knees and stuff. And I also had to like reattach the like the pieces from the X. But aside from that, the only pieces I had to replace on here was one of the missiles and the two gold pieces at the tips of the feet, at the like tips of the toes. Like yeah, so I ended up only replacing 3 pieces, one of these and 2 of these. So yeah, so this one was also in pretty good condition, I will say. And then moving on to this, which is the little like monster build that came with this one. Unfortunately, this is the one that I could not restore because it's missing too many pieces. It's missing one of these blade pieces. It's just missing so much. I might end up just it's missing toe pieces. It's missing a whole lot of pieces. Unfortunately, this one's the most incomplete. I might end up just taking this guy apart. Maybe like use it. But this little guy definitely does have some really interesting pieces. So that's still gonna be like really fun to mess around with for pieces. Then for the final 2, these 2 sets are from the newer Dragons Rising waves. So here we have this interesting dragon build from Dragons Rising. I also had to like reattach pieces. I had to reattach like the wing pieces and the tail. But for this build, the only pieces I had to replace was these 2 pieces right there. So that one was also very interesting to have in this condition. So that's really nice. And there's also this one, which I didn't have to replace any pieces at all. This one was just complete. That's really fortunate. And then these 2 side builds, which came with these 2 sets. These were also complete. I had to replace these 2 parts for this one, but aside from that, these 2 were completely fine. And yeah, with that, here are all the builds from the tote. Fortunately, I got like a really great deal. Like, it is